We are coming to you live from New Orleans all this week, and we're now just 24 hours away from Fight Night in Louisiana. Tomorrow night, Regis Prograis returns to fight at home for the first time in nearly 5 years. He beat Terry Flanagan here in October 2018 to start that incredible Super Series run where he beat Kirill Velik to win the WBA title and then came so close to becoming unified champion of the world against Josh Taylor in London. And 3.5 years on from that incredible final, he is back as world champion yet again after a brilliant win over Jose Zepeda at the end of last year, and he is now chasing unifications at 140 once again. But before that, he has to focus all his efforts on the man in front of him on Saturday night. A late change of opponent just 5 weeks ago, Danielito Zorrilla, dangerous Puerto Rican puncher. We know he can punch early. We saw how dangerous he was against Arnold Barboza late last summer. And of course, the news breaking yesterday that Teofimo Lopez, just 5 days after a career-best performance in which he unseated Josh Taylor to win the WBO title at 140, handed in his belt and says he is retiring from the sport. Whether it's short-lived or not, we'll find out in the next few months. But that WBO title now up for grabs. There's some really good fighters in the division. Regis Prograis will want to get amongst them. He has to win in order to do that tomorrow night. We've got 6 fights on the undercard, 3 on our broadcast segment before the bell. Some brilliant young prospects in action. US captain and Olympian Ginny Fuchs in action. Aaron Aponte as well. All kicks off 5 p.m. local time in New Orleans, and we'll kick off with a 4-rounder at lightweight. The brilliant young Krzysztof Bazaldua from South Central LA under the guidance of Manny Robles in his second pro outing against Elroy Fruto from Surrey in British Columbia. This one agreed at £137. So without further ado, let's head to the stage, get the fighters weigh in. Here's the man of the moment, as always, Mr. David Diamante.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's an absolute pleasure to see everybody here in the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana, USA. We're here for a massive night of fights taking place at the Smoothie King Arena on Saturday night, and it's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. All the action will go out live around the world exclusively on DAZN, and we're sponsored by Bet Online and Stagefront. It's a great fight card. We got 7 fights in total on the card. We have 2 title fights. We've got 1 eliminator. And who's at the top of the bill? It's the homecoming of the 140-pound WBC champion, Regis Prograis. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring the fighters up to the stage so they can face the scale and face each other. Our first contest, 4 rounds in the lightweight division. We got a gentleman coming up, his professional record, 1 win against 1 defeat. He fights out of Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. Please welcome Elroy Fruto. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His young professional record thus far perfect, 1 fight, 1 victory. He fights out of South Central Los Angeles, California, by way of Guanajuato, Mexico. Here is the 6-time national champion, the 2022 WBC U.S. Amateur champion, El Flaco, Krzysztof Bazaldua. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, Elroy Fruto. $135.6 for Elroy Fruto. 135.6. And now to the scale, Krzysztof Bazaldua. $136.4 for El Flaco. 136.4 for Krzysztof El Flaco Bazaldua. Krzysztof Bazaldua, Elroy Fruto, 4 rounds, lightweights, Matchroom Boxing, live on DAZN from New Orleans, Louisiana.
our first contest of the night, 4-rounder between Cristo Basildura and Elroy Fruto, both weighing in the agreed 137-pound limit. Fruto a couple of pounds inside that. Second up on before the belt, Aaron Aponte and Xavier Madrid. Aponte had those two really, really tough fights against Leo Martinez and Fernando Molina. Showed some improvements last time out against the 8-1 Joshua Rivera. His ninth professional contest, Xavier Madrid 4-2. From Albuquerque, New Mexico, both fighters ready to weigh in. So let's head back to the stage.
Thank you, Chris. Our next contest, 8 rounds in the super lightweight division. Now making his way to the stage. His professional record, 4 victories against 2 defeats. 2 of his 4 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Xavier by any means Madrid. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. He is undefeated in his campaign as a professional with a record of 7 victories, no defeats, 1 draw, 2 of his wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Hialeah Gardens, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron, the Alien King Aponte. Now to the scale, by any means, Xavier Madrid. $138.5 from Madrid, 138 1/2 pounds for Xavier Madrid. And now to the scale, the Alien King, Aaron Aponte. The same, 135.6 for Aaron Aponte, 135.6. Aponte versus Madrid, 8-round super lightweights, Matchroom Boxing, live on DAZN from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Xavier Madrid, he stopped another unbeaten prospect in the 6-0 Clinton Chavez back in November. He may sense if he can get past that jab of Aponte or if he abandons it, as we've seen in his last couple of fights, he can be hurt if he can get close. That will be his method to victory. Ginny Fuchs, the Olympian, the World Championship medalist as well, looking faultless in her first 2 pro outings in against a very tough fighter in India Rodriguez, who pushed the New York-based Japanese former super flyweight world champion Mio Yoshida really hard over 8 rounds just 7 weeks ago. Can she do the same here tomorrow night? These two scheduled for 8 rounds at the 115-pound limit, and both are ready to weigh in.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weigh-in continues as we go 8 rounds in the super flyweight division. Now making her way to the stage, her professional record, 6 victories, 7 defeats, 2 draws, with 1 win coming by way of knockout. She fights out of right here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Please welcome India, Azúcar Rodriguez. And her opponent now making her way to the stage. She's an undefeated southpaw with a professional record of 2 fights, 2 victories, 1 of them coming by way of knockout. Here is the 2021 Olympian fighting out of Houston, Texas, Captain Ginny Fuchs. And now to the scale, Azúcar India Rodriguez. $113.2 for Rodriguez, 113.2 for Azúcar India Rodriguez. And now to the scale, Captain Ginny Fuchs. 113.4 for Captain Jenny Fuchs, undefeated southpaw from Houston, Texas.
Well, this could be valuable rounds for Jenny Fuchs. She's spoken openly about wanting to face Marlon Esparza, a big rival on the Olympic squad in the last couple of Olympic cycles. Now world champion, of course, needs to get the rounds in, and Rodriguez.
Fuchs v. Rodriguez, 8 rounds, Superflies, Matchroom Boxing, live on DAZN from New Orleans, Louisiana.
She lets the hands go early. She's aggressive. She'll try and push the pace as she did against Yoshida. But will this woman be there in the ways to be hit that Yoshida was? I don't think she will. It'll be very interesting to see how she deals with the pressure that this lady will no doubt bring. That's our third and final contest on Before the Bell, live on the Matchroom Boxing YouTube channel. I'll be calling the action with Chris Algieri. We may even have a guest appearance from Michaela Mayer, who knows Jenny Fuchs very well indeed. Looking forward to working with those two. That will take us through to about 7 o'clock local time in Louisiana, where we'll be starting the action in the Smoothie King Centre. Jeremy Hill and Mark Davis, who returned after 8 years to action last summer and looked good doing it too. How much has the wily veteran got left against the young hungry lion in Jeremy Hill? We're going to find out. Both fighters ready to weigh in. This one agreed at 137 pounds. Let's get them on the scales.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weigh-in continues with an 8-round lightweight affair. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 19 wins against 1 defeat. He has 5 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Mark Too Sharp Davis. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, 18 victories, 3 defeats, 11 of his 18 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of right here in New Orleans, Louisiana, Jeremy Zero Hill. Now to the scale, Too Sharp, Mark Davis. 135.6 for Mark Too Sharp Davis, 135.6. And now to the scale, 0, Jeremy Hill. Also 135.6. 135.6 for Jeremy Hill. Baton Rouge v. New Orleans.
Well, Mark Davis, a real throwback. Was one of the top super featherweights in the world, heading into his first and only career defeat to Filipino Michael Forenas in 2014. He was stopped in that fight. I think it was the 7-4, the 8th round, and decided to take some time away. 8 years out of the sport, retired, spent some time with his family, his children. Went up as high as 214 pounds. Well, he's back almost at the lightweight limit ahead of tomorrow night. Both weighing in at 135.6 pounds. Jeremy Hill, he's been moved really tough in his first 21 fights. Just 3 defeats, but he's got
Jeremy Hill,
knockout wins.
Mark Davis, New Orleans v. Baton Rouge, 8 rounds, lightweights, Matchroom Boxing live on DAZN from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Nice bit of spice leading into this one. Our first contest of the night in Louisiana. Jeremy Hill and Mark Too Sharp Davis, an 8-rounder. Second contest of the night, ring walk scheduled just before 7:45. The Somali-born Londoner Ramla Ali, who is looking more and more like a contender with each outing. She overcame a very spirited Avril Matthew over 10 rounds last time out, was a level above there in against Yulissa Guzman from Mexico. Gave Yamila Picado a hell of a fight for the WBC title a couple of years ago. There she is. She is a dangerous puncher, great timing at mid-range as well. Ramla Ali spent 2 years out with Manny Robles now, has improved dramatically, and we'll find out all about her tomorrow night. Second contest of the night, over 10 rounds, Ali versus Guzman. Let's get them on the scales.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the weigh-in in New Orleans continues as we now go 10 rounds for the IBF Intercontinental and the vacant WBA Continental America's Super Bantamweight Championship. Now making her way to the stage, please welcome the challenger, a professional record, 12 victories, 2 defeats, 2 draws, with 6 wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando de Ciudad Obregón, Sonora, Mexico. Damas y caballeros, Julissa La Roquera Alejandra Guzman. And the defending titleist now making her way to the stage. Her professional record, a perfect one. 8 fights, 8 victories, 2 of them coming by way of knockout. Saturday night, she'll be making her maiden defense of her Intercontinental title. She fights at a Bethnal Green in the East End of London by way of Mogadishu, Somalia. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the reigning, the defending, and the undefeated IBF Intercontinental Junior Featherweight Champion, Ramla Ali. And out of the scale, La Roquera, Julissa Alejandra Guzman. 121.1 for Guzman. And out of the scale, the undefeated Ramla Ali. 122, bang on the super bantamweight limit for Ramla Ali.
Well, our team are looking for fighters stylistically to mimic some of the problems she may encounter with the top fighters in the division. Mylin Rivas, Yamalef Mercado, 2 of the champions at 122. And we saw how good Guzman was against one of them a couple of years ago. Let that fight slip away from her a little bit. She'll know the opportunity that's in front of her.
Ali versus Guzman. 10 rounds for the IBF Intercontinental and the vacant WBA Continental America's Super Bantamweight Championship.
Guzman will know that the feet, the speed of Ali could be problematic. She'll want her to stand and trade, and maybe just that's her trying to goad her into a little bit of action in our second contest of the night. Ali against Julissa Guzman. 10 rounds at the 122-pound limit before we head to a WBA eliminator at 147 pounds. We have finally got undisputed arriving at the end of July between Spence and Crawford, and thank goodness we have as well. But this man is going to want to get amongst them. The Wonder Boy Shakran Giasov from Uzbekistan, now based stateside, of course, looking to become one of the top contenders at the welterweight division against Harold Calderon from Miami in South Florida. He's entertained the crowds there for years, 27 fights undefeated, yet to have a name or a title on his record. This is his opportunity to really throw a grenade in the division and get in amongst the big boys. Both fighters ready to weigh in, 12 rounds scheduled at welterweight in our third contest of the night here in New Orleans.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to weigh in the chief support as Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, in association with World of Boxing, are proud to present 12 rounds for the WBA welterweight eliminator. And now making his way to the stage, his professional record, a perfect one. 27 fights, 27 victories, with 18 wins coming by way of knockout. Originally de Tegucigalpa, Honduras, and now living, training, and fighting out of Miami, Florida, please welcome Harold King Calderon. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, also a perfect one. 13 fights, 13 victories, 9 of them coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Bukhara, Uzbekistan. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the 2016 Olympic silver medalist, the 2017 amateur world champion, the former WBA international super lightweight champion, and the IBF North American welterweight champion, Shakram Wonderboy Giasov. Now to the scales, Harold King Calderon. $146.2 for the undefeated Harold King Calderon. 146 1/4 pound. And now to the scale, the undefeated Wonderboy Shakram Giasov. 146.1 for Shakram Giasov. 146.1 for the Wonderboy.
So our chief support weighed in and ready to go tomorrow night. Will be the biggest win Harold Calderon's career for the 27 unbeaten he's had so far. Giasov comes with, as you heard there, all the amateur credentials of medals at the very, very top of the amateur international level.
Shakram Giasov, Harold King Calderon. 12 rounds for the WBA welterweight eliminator.
And he will be a big favourite going into this one tomorrow night. 35 years of age, how much has Calderon got left? Can he produce one huge performance to upset the odds against a man who is expected to get in the mix and sit himself among the top contenders when all is said and done after Crawford and Spence at the end of July. WBA title eliminator between these two at 147 in our chief support. Before we head into the big one, Regis Prograis becoming WBC champion 3.5 years after becoming WBA champion against Kirill Relik in that brilliant Super Series. And, well, the name Rougarou, wasn't expecting that, by the way. That's as much of a shock to me as it is to you at home. The name Rougarou comes from his Louisiana Creole descent, his grandfather. The name Rougarou, of course, meaning werewolf in their culture. And I'm assuming that that's either him or that's somebody in the suit. We're going to find out. He can't weigh in that because he won't make the limit. Well, what an outfit that is. I wonder if we'll be seeing that on the ring walk tomorrow night. Regis Prograis, his imminent arrival. Just to give you an idea, Eddie Hearn is about 6'5", so that is a big werewolf. I don't know who's in that. So here are the
well, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome everybody here today to New Orleans, Louisiana, for the official weigh-in for our main event of the evening, taking place on Saturday night at the Smoothie King Arena. As Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, in association with Miguel Cotto of Cotto Promotions, are proud to present 12 rounds for the WBC Super Lightweight Championship of the World. And now making his way to the stage, please welcome the challenger. His professional record, 17 victories against 1 defeat. He has 13 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former WBO, NABO Super Lightweight Champion, peleando fuera, Toa Baja, Puerto Rico, damas y caballeros, Danielito El Zorro Zorrilla. And now making his way to the stage, please welcome the defending world champion. His professional record, 28 victories, only 1 defeat, 24 of his 28 victories coming by way of knockout. Proudly fighting out of and representing his home of New Orleans, Louisiana, here is the reigning and defending WBC Super Lightweight Champion of the World, Regis Prograis. And now to the scale, El Zorro, Danielito Zorrilla. 139, bang on, 139 pounds for the challenger, Danielito Zorrilla, 139. And now to the scale, the reigning and defending heavy-handed southpaw from New Orleans, Regis Prograis. Also 139 bang on for the defending world champion, Regis Prograis, 139 pounds.
Well, Prograis looking in even better condition than when he fought Jose Zepeda in November. He hired a nutritionist last year. He's coming at, I think it was 141 and a half against Juan Araldez and 143 against Ivan Redkach. And he did what he always does. Zepeda started well. Prograis just moved his head, had a good look at him, and just slowly but surely cranked up the pressure round by round, and had broken his heart by the middle rounds. Had a little wobble in the tent. Zepeda landed some heavy leather, as did Zorrilla against Barboza last year, where he believed his power will carry late and can he cause a problem. Prograis, that hands down style, when he does get caught, he gets caught clean. Zorrilla, we know, can punch, and we've seen a lot of his fights.
Regis Prograis, Danielito Zorrilla, 12 rounds for the WBC Super Lightweight Championship of the World. Matchroom Boxing in association with Koto Promotions, live on DAZN from New Orleans, Louisiana.
But we also know that his power can carry late. Prograis says, no, not an issue for me. I know I'm going to get the job done. Smart money, be a Prograis decision, maybe even a late stoppage, because that is what he does. He is in the prime of his life at 34, but he knows time isn't on his side here. He needs to get this one done. And Eddie Hearn spoke to us yesterday and said maybe he'll be out in the next 3 months. And we'll be looking at that now vacant WBO title that was Teofimo Lopez for just 5 days after the performance of his career at the weekend. He has announced his retirement and given the belt up. That lays vacant. Zorrilla Matias, the IBF title. Rolly Romero, of course, has a regular version of the WBA strap, I beg your pardon, but Regis Prograis believes he is the man at the moment, the WBC champion.
WBC 140-pound championship on the line Saturday night.
His first challenger tomorrow night at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. Rougarou, the werewolf, will be ring walking in front of his people for the first time in nearly 5 years. And he looks focused, he looks ready. All the action begins 5 o'clock local time in New Orleans. Before the bell, Christophe Balsadura and Elroy Fruto, Aaron Aponte and Xavier Madrid, Ginny Fusion, India Rodriguez. Before we go live at 7 o'clock, Jeremy Hill and Mark Too Sharp Davis. Ramla Ali against Yelissa Guzman. Ali looking to take one more step towards a world title at 122 pounds. Shakran Giasov looking to take another step closer to a world title at 147 pounds. He's in against Howard Calderon from Miami in Florida. And then Regis Prograis defending the WBC Super Lightweight title for the first time against Danielito Zorrilla, dangerous Puerto Rican puncher. And Eddie Hearn's just come to join us in the studio. Well, the news yesterday, Teofimo Lopez said, I might be retiring, but he has announced it, the WBO title imminently vacant. And that was this man, we were saying the opportunities ahead of him, but in a really strong position, but he has to win tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, wow from Teofimo Lopez. I mean, everybody says, yeah, I might retire, but to vacate your belt after a win like that?
Well, we know he's serious.
I mean, listen, ill-advised, whatever, each to their own, but let's focus on this man tomorrow night. I believe the #1 fighter in the 140-pound division. Definitely now now that Teofimo's retired as well. And just the head-to-head was intense. They fancy this, Zorrilla. You know, I mean, Zorilla's a very good fighter. You know, he's coming to fight tomorrow night, Robert Diaz and his team from Koto Promotions. But Regis has got the bit between his teeth, ready to go. I think he's going to join us up here. He's pretty pumped. He looks a bit scary, Chris. I don't know.
He does look a bit scary. Not as scary as the werewolf. And of course, I know that the nickname Rougarou comes from your grandfather of Creole descent, and that means werewolf. Who is in that, first of all? Who is inside that?
Oh, that's Tom. This actually, it's a surprise for me. This is my first time seeing it. I bought it a long time ago, and you know, we had it, and we just never used it. So this is my first time. It's a surprise for me too. This literally my first time seeing it. So it's a dude named Thomas Petrillo. He's in there.
Can we get that on the ring?
I was on the phone putting something out on social media. I turned around and there's this 12-foot.
Well, you're a big guy.
I know.
I mean, that's a big guy.
Right, that thing is huge.
It's got you in the mood now. Boxing the first time at home in nearly 5 years since beating Terry Flanagan. That amazing Super Series run. We heard the news yesterday. Teofimo Lopez vacating the WBO title. You are the man in this division. You have to go prove it tomorrow night.
Right, I got to prove it. Every time I fight, I have to prove it. You know, all this cool, all my people and stuff like that. You know, it's good being here, but at the end of the day, I have to go out there. I have to prove that I'm the best, and you know, that's why I want to keep proving.
And I know you want to work with the very best. You want to work with fighters who want to face everybody. You have that in this man.
I back this guy to beat everyone in the division. And that's why we made the big play for him, because if he was just a world champion at 140 that I didn't believe could beat everybody, that's no fun. What's fun is having a guy who you can get behind and say, I put my money on this guy beating everyone in the division. But it's all irrelevant until tomorrow night. He has to go through this guy, go through him with style, show the quality, the skill, show everything. It's going to be a big crowd in there tomorrow night. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and he's going to make a statement to the world. And then we want everybody. He wants all the smoke, and I believe he's the best fighter in the world at 140. But let's see him go to work tomorrow night.
Does it feel good to be back?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, you see the crowd, you see my people here. Definitely feels good to be back. I mean, I love it. I love the energy. You know, leading up to the week, I wasn't really in the mood, but, you know, the weigh-in, I got the weigh-in out the way. I seen him. He's hyped. That's my babies right there. That's Khaleesi, one of my babies right there. My wife, they all here. All my people, they all here. So, you know, everybody's here, supported. But now I'm in that mood to fight.
And I bet you're also in the mood for some food, and that's important. So I'm going to let you get some food in. Thank you for speaking to us as always. Eddie, thanks very much. Regis Prograis defending his WBC title at 140 pounds tomorrow night live on DAZN. And we've got a busy schedule over the next few weeks as well. Let's take a look at what is coming up. Next weekend, of course, we head to New York. It was Puerto Rican Day Parade just a few days ago. Edgar Berlanga was celebrating, but not with too many food or too many beers, but he will do in a couple of weeks' time if he gets past Jason Quigley. June 24 from Madison Square Garden. Sam Maxwell and Dalton Smith in a British and Commonwealth unification clash at 140 pounds in Sheffield in England the week after. Then Armantas Stanionis and Virgil Ortiz Jr. Big fight at 147. July 8th live on DAZN. And then Josh Kelly, the British champion at 154 pounds against Gabriel Alberto Corzo, Saturday, July 15th from the north of England. That is the next 4 weeks of the schedule. He is the main man at the moment here in Louisiana, at home for the first time in New Orleans, boxing tomorrow night, defending the WBC super lightweight world title against the dangerous Puerto Rican Danielito Zorrilla. Everybody weighed in, has made weight. Fights are on tomorrow night. We will see you at the Smoothie King Centre in New Orleans, live on DAZN for Fight Night. Thanks for your company, folks. See you tomorrow. Prograis now with a couple of big shots there.
Prograis probably well in his prime now.
Danielito Zorrilla.
Losing out from this crowd. Nice body shot. Look